Hello, all this year we are celebrating the 15th birthday of SocialOptic. We thought it'd be quite fun to spend a few moments with our CEO and founder, Benjamin Ellis, and ask him a few questions. Hello to you, Benjamin.
Hello.
Can I start by asking you to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background, please.
Sure. So I'm Benjamin Ellis. My background originally was engineering. Actually studied electronic engineering and computer systems before going on to work in education and get qualifications in education. And then around about the middle of my career, actually retrained into psychology. So, a lot of what I do is really mixing those things together, engineering and computer software and psychology, understanding how people think, feel and behave.
Very good. Okay, and can you tell us how was SocialOptic first conceived?
So I worked for a number of technology startups, including the early days of Cisco Systems, and we share that in common, that bit of journey. And my observation was, in terms of, one, culture is really important for the success of an organization, and that's something that's important to us as SocialOptic, as a business, but also what we do with our customers.
Yeah.
But the impact on company culture of technology and the realization that actually technology is a really powerful way to support and sustain culture and to create good cultures. It can be destructive when wrongly used, but actually the right tools can really help support and shape the culture of an organization. And that's really the foundation of SocialOptic, was that realization that we could build a set of tools that helped people work together, hence our strapline of work together, that really, by using technology to present back what we know and understand, it helps create the conversations that people need to be able to work together more efficiently, to make good decisions, to collaborate, and to understand what's going on around them.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, well, some of our viewers may have come across SocialOptic in different contexts before, maybe not others. Can you tell us a little bit more about the breadth of what happens at SocialOptic?
So whilst at our heart we are a technology company, and so our main platform is a software as a service, and we have different expressions of that technology, including SocialOptic, which is our survey collection data analysis tool and insights platform. We have Milestone Planner for timeline-based planning, and this before that Decisioneer for helping our own people to make decisions. Really, it's all focused around the same thing, which is collecting the information that's in people's heads, their opinions and what would be subjective, and turning that into objective things that people can have a discussion around. Alongside that, we have people as well. So we have a team who work with our customers to help onboard them onto the platform and help support the project. So it's that magic combination of a really powerful software platform, but software as a service, and then the people to work with our customers to get them started and supported in using those platforms.
Great stuff. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the milestones along that journey of the last 15 years?
Well, it's definitely been quite a journey. I guess as a technologist, one of the things that sticks out to me is the evolution of the technology. When we started SocialOptic, really the only way that you could get access to the technology that we had was to build your own servers. And I remember physically, creating servers, putting them in data centers, screwing them into the racks. And if something went wrong, you had to go out and visit it and change things over. The evolution to virtual servers and that technology, which meant we still had servers, but it was much easier to create and replace and upgrade them, but still quite a bit of work, to where we are today, which is increasingly using serverless technology, which doesn't mean that there aren't any servers, but it means we don't have to think about servers. So we can go from zero standby, almost really low emission, to dealing with millions of responses an hour, and we can scale that capacity, and it's just there when we need it. Which means, from an environmental point of view, we keep our footprint really, really low, which is a real challenge for technology companies.
Excellent.
But also, if customers need a huge amount of capacity because they're doing some big data analysis or a lot of reporting, or they've hit the front page of The Guardian and tens of thousands of people responding, we can scale to that and make sure that every single response is collected, every single report is delivered.
Okay. And how else has the technology evolved then over the last 15 years?
Well, I think particularly from the point of view of how we can analyse data, that's really transformed a lot. the reason that oftentimes when you do surveys, you see what we call Likert scale questions, which is this strongly disagree to strongly agree pattern that's probably very familiar to anybody who's completed a survey, is that meant that you could convert people's opinions into numbers. And that's useful to take those subjective opinions and turn them into numbers because we can process them at scale. And even back in the early days of punch card computers, that's really part of what drove that. Now, actually, we can take free-form answers, so where it's an open comment where somebody's explained something about culture or something that they've seen. Now the technology has evolved, so those qualitative type answers, as we call them, we can actually analyse those. So not just in terms of things like sentiment, which we've been able to do for a while, and it's not actually that useful. It's more being able to pick out the topics and summarise that information as well. So that where we've got tens of thousands of people providing feedback around a service or an organisation, actually we can distill that down to here's what they're saying about these particular aspects that's noteworthy, so that everybody's voice gets heard and the computers aren't removing anything. But actually, that understanding or natural language processing, as it's called, has really moved on. And obviously computers now are a huge amount more powerful as well.
Yeah, incredible. Okay, and if there was one thing that you could say in terms of a lesson learned over this 15-year journey, what would that be?
So we've always believed that if you get people together, if you can give them a platform to collaborate, that they can create really great outcomes. What's been really interesting is to see quite how far that goes. So particularly things like what should the strategy of an organisation be? And oftentimes we think about that as something that the board or the leaders have to lock themselves away in a room and they try and figure out. And again, I've been on those boards and been in those rooms. It's really hard. Actually, the answers are usually out there. And whether it's things like, what's happening from a product point of view, for example, you're surveying your sales team and saying which competitors are you seeing, what are customers starting to think about, getting that information back into the leadership team or the boardroom, you can make really good decisions, much more informed decisions. And even things like organizational strategy actually spread around the organization. People know, they know what's important to them, they know what the customers or stakeholders or service users want. And when you actually ask people and aggregate that back and analyze it, just amazing insights pop out. We're like, oh yeah, we kind of knew that, but we didn't realize that we knew that. But also, that means when you communicate things back, it's in the language of the people that are listening to that. So it's much more understandable. So rather than ending up with this strategy that people grapple to understand, instead they're like, oh, okay, we get this. That's how we talk about it. That's how we explain it. And that's really transformative for organizations. So that's been a really fun part of the journey and unexpected. It wasn't something I thought that we would be doing, but we do quite effectively.
Very much at the core of what we do, taking data from all the sources and just generating those insights.
The other thing that's a really important part of how we work and helping people work together is that oftentimes discussions in business can become this and can become accidentally sometimes even confrontational and misunderstanding, because I've got something in my head, you've got something in your head. By giving people something to look at, whether it's a plan on a page, whether it's a one-page report of what's going on in the organisation, we've now got something to talk about. And there's an old theory called SocialOptics, and this idea that by having this thing, that facilitates that discussion and it moves it from being in your head and my head to something where we start to build a shared understanding. And particularly for working together, actually getting those different pieces of information together in a way where everybody can see it. So that's the optic part of SocialOptic. So the social bit is about people, their interactions and opinions and how they work together. The optic bit is making stuff visible, getting it out of people's heads to somewhere it can be seen in a way that is transparent and clear. You can start to establish that shared understanding of, oh, I didn't realize that was a priority for us. I thought it was this thing, or I'm doing this because this is really important to me. And when people get that shared understanding, you work together much better as an organization or across organizations. So one of the other interesting things we've done over the last few years is working with suppliers, which is really interesting, where you start to build a shared understanding between suppliers and the people they're supplying to. It's like, oh, we understand you can do those things. We didn't realize that. That's really helpful. Or if we place our orders this way, actually you can fulfill them much more quickly. And that's really important during COVID in the work we did there, where we were very, very quickly identifying new suppliers for people and qualifying them. That actually, beyond that, creating really effective supply chains is another place where you want to understand what people are thinking and feeling, because it's really valuable information for the decision making. So there's a whole range now of suppliers, people inside the organization, and the service users as well. And bringing that picture together is really where we're getting to now, where you can see those touch points with the organization, both internally, the employee journey and their cycle with the company from joining to leaving, but also those external touch points of the people consuming what the company produces and the people supplying things that make that happen.
Yeah. Sounds like the word collaboration and enabling collaboration is so at the core of what you do at SocialOptic. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and as you know, I think that's very much our style, is to collaborate with people. Creating the best joint outcomes is how we like to work, and that's meant that even at 15 years old, some of those first customers are still with us. In fact, all of those first customers pretty much are still with us on the journey, because we build those long-term relationships, understanding what people need, how we can best work together, and creating great outcomes through that collaboration. It's like, what is the best thing that we can create together is how we work internally, and that's how we work with our customers as well.
Great stuff. Okay, so we've taken a look back. Now, looking forward, what do you think is coming next for SocialOptic, and maybe in the next 5 years?
That's a hard question, isn't it? Especially in the technology world where stuff changes so quickly. We've grown as an organisation, and hope we'll continue to grow, and that's the plan. But we are very much at our heart, a few smart people and 1,000 robots is something that we talk about a lot. And there's this idea that where there are repeated processes, where things can be automated, those should be automated so that people can do the important stuff. It's interesting that whilst that's been an internal thing for us through the whole journey and the infrastructure that we've built and the processes that we have, I think now with AI being very much kind of topic of the day, people are talking a lot about automation. I think that does shine a spotlight on the fact that that's not going to change the things that are important. That's sort of a very strange thing recently where people would say, we'll use AI to do our market research. Well, that's not going to be effective for two reasons. One, most AI models, they're out of date for the second you use them because it takes quite a long while to train them. But also, actually, it's those unique opinions and the unique insights you get from it. That's what gives you your competitive edge. So I think AI will definitely automate a lot of things, and things that probably should be automated. But that places even more importance on the decisions that people make, and what we do about giving people an evidence base as well for the decisions is becoming more and more important, because with AI, one of the things that's coming out is who's responsible for this decision, who's accountable for it. And if that's you that's going to be responsible or accountable for that decision, you really want some data and evidence to back up the decision that you made and understand if it was right and if you need to change it.
Yeah, and I guess that traceability is just not there with AI at the moment.
Not at the moment. And again, AI is a huge field, and generative AI is the big topic at the moment. We deliberately don't make a lot of use of that. We do use that to help us in support some of our coding and generating automated tests. It's great for those sort of things where it's low risk, but we don't ever use that for analysing data and getting insights, because its job is to make stuff up. Yeah. And our job is to not make stuff up, is to find out what the reality of the situation is. So there are other AI models that do that sort of analysis, and I think we'll see a lot more use of those in the coming years. But again, something that we're, I think, all very conscious of is really got to do that in a responsible way, because these things consume huge amounts of power and they do make mistakes. They're very high error rates. And for us, the way we work, our quality processes is really about not having errors and delivering things exactly right. And that's how we want to work.
Fascinating. So it sounds like there still will be a place for the product set from SocialOptic in the future as AI advances. Is that fair to say?
We very much think so. And that, that decision log, that ability to show why you made decisions, I think actually becomes even more important. But also the realization that all of this AI, what it needs, what it feeds off, is good quality data. So actually, if you haven't captured that information in the digital domain, which is a lot of what we're doing, you can't use it anyway. So yeah, it's a really good opportunity for us, I think, as an organisation.
Very good. Okay, and how can people find out more? How can people get connected with yourself or the SocialOptic team?
So you can find this on LinkedIn, SocialOptic, and I'm there as Benjamin Ellis. On our website, there's a blog where you can see things that we write as a team, including me. There's our podcast as well, and our webinars, and an opportunity to explore our platforms as well, or have a consultation with one of our teams. So you can reach out via the website. There's a chat there, real people on the chat there, no AI bots there. And we always love to talk to people. And yeah, even if it's not the right moment for you to work with us, actually, it might be in the future. And we always learn something by collaborating with people. So we're always keen to do that.
Absolutely. Great. Well, what remains is to say thank you very much for your time, Benjamin, and we'll see you another time.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.